Hello, I want to welcome you to my presentation, Working in Newfoundland and Labrador as an Early Childhood Educator. My name is Sky Taylor. I'm the Executive Director for the Association of Early Childhood Educators, Newfoundland and Labrador. And also for this presentation, we have Moitza Bass on deck, and she is the Registrar of Certification. So I'm going to do the presentation, and she's going to be moderating the questions that you might put into the Q&A section. So I'm going to get started. So the Association of Early Childhood Educators of Newfoundland and Labrador, we go by ACNL because it's a bit easier and shorter to say, is the professional organization for those with qualifications in early childhood education or working in childcare or related fields. I'd like to highlight, to work in a regulated early learning setting, a childcare center, you need to be certified. And ACNL has a service contract with the provincial government to implement certification and provide professional development for early childhood educators. So basically, you can look at the association as a support system for ECEs. We do certification. We also do bursaries for people to help them upgrade. We do professional learning, and we also advocate for early childhood educators' rights within the province. And we also provide individual advice. In July 2021, the governments of Canada and Newfoundland and Labrador announced an agreement that is transforming early learning and childcare in the province and across Canada. This plan has multiple components that includes increasing access to regulated childcare, making it more affordable for families. There's funding and EC training. There's a provincial wage grid, which I'm going to talk about later for ECEs, as well as increasing the number of fully certified ECs working in the childcare sector. So what does this mean for you? The expansion of early learning and childcare spaces means we need more ECEs, which means graduates and new people coming into our province are pretty much guaranteed work. And early childhood educators, especially qualified early childhood educators, are a hot commodity here in Newfoundland. Also, too, if an ECE has a family and they're working here, they're able to access childcare that is affordable. And right now, the going rate, the most that you would pay for a spot is $10 a day. So early childhood educators. ECEs are trained professionals who create safe and interactive learning environments where children develop social skills, build self-esteem, and become lifelong learners, making it one of the most important and rewarding careers in education. ECEs are building the foundation for the future by developing and implementing programs designed to meet children's social, physical, intellectual, creative, cultural, emotional, and developmental needs in a play-based environments that are based on children's needs and interests. So what qualities should an ECE have? They need to be caring, patient, and responsive to the needs of children and families. Early childhood educators must be able to model appropriate behavior and language, use communication techniques, as an ECE will be working closely with children, parents, and coworkers, and also the community. They need to be consistent and have a positive attitude, be observant to the needs of the child and family, be willing to continue learning as ECEs, as the early childhood education is always evolving. They need to be a problem solver and be able to think outside of the box, and they must enjoy working with people, especially children. And also, too, you need to be able to want to have fun and make a difference. So what does an ECE's day look like in Newfoundland? Early learning and childcare programs are based on children's interests and learning needs and include individual, small, and large group activities. You'll be doing activities indoors and outdoors, and you'll also be having an opportunity to go on field trips. Activities and materials are varied frequently and are designed to accommodate individual children's unique abilities. A typical day's schedule includes supporting families and their children, preparing for arrival and departure times, planning and implementing play-based experiences in a variety of learning areas such as music, dramatic play, art, science, math, sensory, and literacy. You're also going to be responsible for making snacks and making meal times a meaningful experience, providing quiet or nap time for younger children especially, and you're going to be incorporating outdoor play into the program. And another important factor of being an EC in Newfoundland is working as a team. Majority of childcare centers, you would be in a room with another early childhood educator. So early learning and childcare environments in Newfoundland and Labrador. The working conditions for early childhood educators vary widely. There's family childcare that care for as few as 6 children, whereas there's our regulated childcare centers that follow set ratios of that are how many children there are per educator. So for infants, there is 1 educator for 3 infants. For toddler age group, there's 1 educator for 5 toddlers. For preschool children, there's 1 educator for 8 preschoolers. And our pre-K program is 1 educator for 10 children. And school age, there's 1 educator per 15 children. So in a lot of the regulated childcare centers in Newfoundland and Labrador, they have a lot of childcare spaces or rooms that have kind of double that ratio. And what I mean by that is, if I use the example of there will be 1 educator per 8 preschool children, if you're in a room with another educator, then you would have yourself and the other educator will have 16 children. So hours can vary in childcare settings. Most childcare programs are open from 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning, some of them 7:30 in the morning, until 6 p.m. in the evening, Mondays to Fridays. So early childhood educators work usually they change shifts within those hours. So you might end up doing a morning shift. So you might do 7:30 to 3:30, or you might do the closing shift, which you would go in later and then finish at 6. Working in an early learning environment is physically demanding career where you can be on your feet most of the day and routinely lift children weighing up to 20 kilograms, especially if you're in a program like a toddler program where you're assisting bathroom routines and what have you. As an educator is required to maintain the environment, general safety, be consistent with rules, and ensure that the environment is compliant with regulations and public health requirements. If you go on the Department of Education's website and you look under early learning and childcare, that you can access the childcare policies and standards manual, and there you will get some more insight on the way programs operate within Newfoundland and Labrador. We also have a early childhood learning framework that we follow in terms of designing our curriculum and our programs. I also would like to highlight with the hours that vary in childcare settings. We do have full-time programs, but we also do have part-time programs as well. So there is also after-school programs that early childhood educators work in. So their shifts would vary as well, and they're in correspondence to what the public schools operate here. And childcare in Newfoundland and Labrador goes all year round. There are a variety of career opportunities available to you as an EC in Newfoundland and Labrador. Depending on the level of education and experience you have, you can work in the following types of settings. So the predominant one in our province, where we have a lot of opportunities to be hired, is regulated childcare centers as center staff, ratio enhancement, lead staff, or an administrator of a center. We also have regulated family childcare, where you provide care for children in your own home. We have actually, in the last couple of years, we've started pre-K programs. So that is a childcare setting that is operating a pre-K program within the public schools here. We also have forest schools and Montessori programs, family resource centers and family support programs, recreational programs, agencies that provide services for children, student assistance in the public school system, teaching learning assistants in the public school system, childcare consultants within the Regional Health Authority, which is the Department of Education, program consultants within the Department of Education, EC instructors at post-secondary institutions. Here in Newfoundland, we have three. We have our public college, which is the College of North Atlantic, and two private colleges, which is Academy Canada and Kean College. Also, too, there's positions at early learning and childcare organizations such as ACNO, the ECHR Council, and Family Childcare Connections. So basically, it's a career with a career ladder where there's a lot of potential to grow and explore different areas of the sector. And as I highlighted at the beginning of the presentation, with this agreement that we signed in July 2021, and where under that agreement, we're supposed to be, we are in the process of expanding our sector. There is positions available in many areas. So there is a lot of room for growth and to set roots. So what do I need to get started to work in early learning and childcare? You need to be 18 and over. You'll need to apply for certification through ACNO, which I'm going to kind of go through in the following slides. And you'll need to have standard first aid and also obtain a criminal code of conduct. So depending on the position in the childcare setting that you work with, there's also classifications attached to these levels. So the classifications that you can be certified is infant, preschool, school age, pre-K, and family childcare. And those are designated and attached to the levels that you would achieve. So certification in Newfoundland and Labrador is not based on experience. It's based solely on the post-secondary education that you have specifically that's related to early learning and childcare. So as I said at the beginning, ECs who work in a regulated childcare setting or in regulated family childcare are required to hold childcare services certification. So we have our trainee level. So that's in the process of completing a 1-year EC certificate from a provincially recognized post-secondary institution. We have our level 1, which is the individual has completed a 1-year EC certificate from a provincially recognized post-secondary institution. Our level 2 is achieved by obtaining a 2-year EC diploma from a provincially recognized post-secondary institution. And our level 3 is a EC diploma plus an advanced diploma from a provincially recognized post-secondary institution. An example of that, here in Newfoundland, we have our EC diploma program at the college, but then we also have an advanced diploma in administration leadership and early childhood education. If you did both programs, you would qualify for level 3. Then we have our level 4 certification, and in order to achieve level 4, you would need to have either an EC specific degree from a provincially recognized post-secondary institution or an ECE diploma from a provincially recognized post-secondary institution, and any degree. And again, like I said at the beginning of this, we also have the classifications that are attached to a level. And I'll talk a bit more about that when we go through the application process. So how do I become certified? So the first step is you'd go to our website, www.aecenl.ca. And when you get to the homepage, you're going to look for the certification tab. So once you see that, you click on it. And when you get to the certification page on the left-hand side, if you're on a desktop, you will see initial certification. You can click on that and you'll be looking for the initial application form. So you need to download and print that initial application form. Then you would need to complete it, make sure that all areas are filled out, and make sure that it's hand signed. And even though you can fill it out online, the signature on it has to be your actual hand signature. We won't accept an electronic signature. Then you also need to obtain required documentation. So if you have international post-secondary credentials, you will need the following. You'll need a credential assessment from World Education Services or other educational assessment services approved by ACENL, and that can also be found on our website. You will need an official transcript from the post-secondary institution that indicates the name of the student, their student number, and completion of the program, and an official report of course hours and a course description obtained for each course that has been successfully completed. You'll also need official translation of documentation if documentation is in a language other than English, and you'll need the contact information for the post-secondary institution that the credentials are from. Then the completed and signed initial application form with supporting documents can be emailed, faxed, or mailed to ACENL. To ensure that you have a faster processing time, please ensure that you supply all the required information. If all those items are not included, then we will have to go back and ask for them, and that will prolong the assessments of your certification. So this is what the initial application form looks like that I referred to on the last slide. So I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of a walkthrough and kind of talk about how to fill this out. So we make sure that we get the appropriate information from you. So the initial application is for individuals who do not hold child care services certification. The application, as I said before, can be filled out online. However, it must be printed and hand signed. You need to make sure that you read all the information in the guide. There's an additional page to this application form, and it kind of is like a checklist of everything that you need to include. So please read that carefully, because that will help ensure that you have the right documentation and that this is filled out properly. You need to complete all sections of the application by printing clearly. We recommend printing because it's a lot easier for us to be able to read it than handwriting. Attach the applicable documentation to the application. If you are submitting your documentation, so say if your education has a different last name than your application form because you've got married or what have you, then you need to supply proof of you need to have a proof of your official name change. So then when we get the documents, we can go, okay, this is the same person. And then also too, it's important to date and hand sign the initial application. Electronic signatures are not accepted. I'd like to highlight section B, certification classifications. So when you look at that, you need to check off the age groups that you're going to be working with when you move to Newfoundland to work in a Newfoundland child care center. So the most common one is the preschool classification. So, and then second to that is the school age one. And that's not to say that you can't check off the other ones, but I just wanted to highlight that those are the ones that are predominantly done in Newfoundland and Labrador. And then depending on what employer you have contacted, I'm going to use the YMCA as an example. They have a pre-kindergarten program. So if you are going to be working in a program like that, you would click off, check off pre-kindergarten. So then if we go over to section D, you'll see education requirements. So you need to check which of the following two options applies to you and fill out the appropriate section. So section D, which is completed degree, diploma, certificate program. This section is for individuals who have successfully completed or graduated any non-Canadian post-secondary program of study through a recognized post-secondary institution and hold a certificate, diploma, and degree. Then section D, they have, if you've done individual post-secondary courses related to early childhood education. So if you haven't completed a full program and you've done coursework, you would fill out that section. Moitza, is there anything that you want to add with section D?
No, that's basically it.
Okay. and I guess too, we have the declaration of consent to share information, section E. So that's where you need to make sure that it's signed by hand and dated by hand. And I know it might sound like I'm repeating myself on the importance of signing it and that, but we do receive applications that aren't signed and then we have to return them back. So it's really important that it is signed. And we need the original signature because that indicates your intent to apply for certification and that all the information is true and that it gives us permission to share your information with the people that do the licensing for childcare in the province. So once you've filled out your application form and you're getting ready to send it, we do accept it by email. And if you are going to submit it by email, you'll be emailing it to the registrar at acnol.ca, and that email address is actually at the bottom of the application form. We require that all your documentation be scanned as a PDF. That's what we'll accept. We don't accept photos or anything like that because a lot of times they don't produce legible copies. We ask that when you're sending your initial application and documentation by email, that it's all sent together as one email. And then you need to, when you're filling out the email, once you've attached all your attachments, in the subject line, you need to put your first and last name and initial application. So then when the registrar receives your application or your email, she knows exactly what it is. And then also too, we recommend that you retain a copy of your original email and for your records. And when you submit your initial application package by email, you will receive a bounce back message from the registrar's account. And this is confirmation that your application has been received by ACNO. However, we're always available Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30 to answer any questions by phone. We have a toll-free number. And also you can access us by email. And if 8:30 to 4:30 Newfoundland time is not accessible to you, you can make an appointment with the registrar to speak with her outside of those hours, and that can be done by email. So what do ECEs earn in Newfoundland and Labrador? So effective April 1st of 2023, the provincial government put in place a wage grid for ECEs. So individuals with who are actively certified and are working in a regulated childcare center that fall under the operating grant program will receive these wages. So coming to Newfoundland and Labrador, If you are a trainee, you will make $18.06 an hour, and this is the minimum that you will make. If you're level 1 ECE, you'll get $21.25. If you're level 2 ECE, you'll get $25. If you're level 3 ECE, you'll start at $28.75. And if you're a level 4 ECE, you'll be starting at $33.06. And again, this is in Canadian currency. And with the wage grid, you will see that there's the base, there's step 1, step 2, step 3. So like I said, when you first come here, everybody who enters the field here, regardless if they're coming outside of the country or they live in Newfoundland and Labrador, they will be making that base 1-year rate. But then the longer that you work in a regulated childcare center or family childcare home, you will be making, you'll earn more as you work more in the province. Also, too, this is timely. Yesterday, we just announced a new program that government has put in place, and it's called the Early Childhood Education Recruitment and Retention Grant. So applicants are eligible to receive a maximum of $2,500 for initial certification and each 3-year renewal of ASNL Level 1 through Level 4 childcare services certification, up to a total amount of $7,500. So what this would mean is if you are doing your initial certification and you move to Newfoundland and Labrador, when you arrive here, if it's within 6 months of your initial certification date, you would get your employer to fill out a form saying that you are here and that you are working in Newfoundland and Labrador, and you will get $2,500. With certification, in order to keep it valid, you have to renew it every 3 years if you're level 1 through level 4. So then after you're receiving the $2,500 for your initial certification, once you're working here in Newfoundland and Labrador, then you are eligible to receive $2,500 for every 3-year renewal, to a total of $7,500. So that would be 1 initial and 2 renewal periods. Now, in order to continue getting the $2,500 for the 3-year renewals, you would have to show proof that during that 3-year time you were working. So is there any questions? I'm going to let Moitza, this is where Moitza comes in.
I do have some questions that I haven't had a chance to type in, so I'm just gonna reply to them like that so that everybody else can also hear and see. So, Regeline, yes.
It's just Hillary speaking. I just also wanted to take a moment because I've been reading in the chat, and I just want everyone to know that if you have a question, ask it either by turning your microphone on or put it in the specific Q&A chat, because there's so many messages coming through the chat box rather than the Q&A box, that the messages in the chat where there's a lot of people saying hi, it's not going to be able to access all those questions as quickly as we'd like to access them. And when you're answering the questions that you're seeing, Moicha, there was a question about in the chat that I was trying to pay attention. Someone asking about transitioning from being an accountant to an ECE. So I don't know if you want to speak to that. There was a question about opportunities for administration in ECE, and then also a question about traveling, an international student in Ottawa, interested in doing a co-op placement in Newfoundland and Labrador. So, you know, I can repeat those if you'd like, but I just wanted to make sure that they didn't get missed because they were in the chat. But everyone else, if you could put them in the Q&A, that would be great.
Okay, and I'll say, if you have an accounting or any degree or anything that it's not early childhood education related. You can definitely apply for the certification. However, because our education is not, it's our certification based on how much education you have in early childhood education, you might have to do our orientation courses, which we provide only when you are in Newfoundland and Labrador to get a trainee level. And then you will have to enroll into a college or university that has an ECE program, and then you would have to upgrade. Now, if you're we have administrators who work as EC on the floor as a ECEs. The requirements for them is you have to have at least an EC diploma or level 2 in order to be an administrator to work there. Let me see what else we have. Okay, what are the requirements for applying as an ECE? You would have to have post-secondary education and early childhood education. That will be the best way and the fastest way for you to come here. So if you, like Sky says, if you have degrees, diplomas, you just send it in. I had a lot of people emailing us who have primary education or secondary education, degrees. You can apply. However, you might, depends on the program that you have, you might gonna have to uh be able to, you would have to go to school to upgrade to a higher level to basically do the ECE program. However, if you're a teacher, you can apply for teacher certification here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And I will post the link into the chat. So then, there we go. So you can apply for the teacher certification, right? Because a teacher certification enables you to work in schools, while our certification enables you to work in licensed daycares. So that's another option for those who do have a degrees or something like that. There are administration positions available in the daycare, so you can definitely apply for those. There was one email, can I get an EC certification through distance learning? There are colleges that offer in Canada that offer EC programs, so certificate program, which is 1-year program or diploma or degrees online. So if you go on our website under the certification, the initial certification, you'll find a list of all the colleges here in Canada that you can apply. The fees depends on the college you're going through. If that's the route that you definitely wanna go. If you are not sure, if you're not sure about the programs, don't hesitate to contact me. I will put my email also on the chat, so don't hesitate to reach out to me. There. Do you need to have a prior experience in teaching? No, you don't have to have it, because certification is based solely on your education. So you can be a new graduate and you can apply for the certification. And if you meet the requirements, you can definitely do that. Do you have schools where you can study ECE? There are other schools available. And Sky, do you mind just post a link to the chat on our website where they can find the list of recognized colleges? If you don't mind, that would be awesome while I go through the questions. Yes, we need WES report, so a copy of that is fine. So what are the cost of getting a diploma certificate is based on the college. There are different costs associated with that, right? So how about entering Canada with student visa, then will enroll under EC program? Is that possible? Yes, it is. That is definitely possible. Now, with student visa, you may not be able to work full time, depends on the visa, but that um do I have to get a certificate to work in this field? You have to be certified through us in order to work in Newfoundland and Labrador. What level you would receive, it depends on how much education you have. If you don't have any, then you would have to um, go to school to do that. Can I apply for the certification outside Canada? Definitely you can. You just send us the initial application and we'll go from there.
What I'd like to add to that also too, the certification process is free. And my
Yep.
recommendation is if you're interested in working in early learning and childcare in Newfoundland, to start the process now, because you can apply for certification before you have a job offer. And actually it's even better if you start the process now. So then when you are seeking for employers, you can let them know that you've initiated that. Moitza, also too, I'm not able to go
Okay.
outside of this too. I can't access outside of the presentation to be able to put the link in.
Okay.
I can get the link and I can get
Thanks.
the link.
All right. I think I just got it. So there's a link to there and
Oh,
everything.
she's got it. Okay.
Perfect. So let's see. Mary Grace says, how much is it to take the certification? Certification is free. How long do we take for the certification? It depends on how long it will take you to get all the documents that we need. Some people submit everything right away, and usually within 2 to 3 weeks, we will assess it. If it takes you a couple of weeks or months for you to get all the documentation needed, based on your school, then it may take longer. But like Sky said, if you're planning to get certified here and come here to Newfoundland, start the process as soon as possible so that we can get the ball rolling. Is there any admin position available? We are in dire needs. I'm elementary school public teacher with 4 years experience. Yes, with initial application, you can start. Like I said, if you have a degree that it's not in early childhood education, you can definitely apply, but you might gonna have to do the orientation course in order to get a trainee level certification. Because like Sky said in the presentation, our certification is based on how much education you have in early childhood education.
I'm just going to jump on again very quickly. I think there might be a little bit of misunderstanding because we're using the language that you have to get your certification
Yes.
as your levels, and then the fact that you need a certificate, diploma, or degree to access your certification, just from reading what was going on in. So just if you wanted to take a moment to clarify the fact that the certification that we're talking about is separate from, like, yeah, if you don't mind, thank you.
Yep. So childcare services certification is basically a license for you to work in a daycare. Without that certification, or I will say license to practice, you are unable to work in a licensed daycare. Doesn't matter how much education you may have or may not have. Now, our certification is based on how much education, years in college or university you had. And that's why we have those 5 levels. And those are based on your education, which is how much education you have in early childhood education. So it's based on the certificate program at college, which would usually be a 1-year full-time program, to university, which is usually between 4 to 5 years in college or university. So that is what is the certification is, and where's basically the difference. You have an education that you obtain at a college and university, but in order to work in a daycare, you would have to come to us to basically give us that college education and come to us, if that makes sense. And Sky, do you mind going back to the slide where we have levels? Because I think it's gonna be easier for everybody to see. So those are the levels that we have. And basically, you kind of can see what education you have, where you might be able to fall into those levels. Right? So if your, let's say, degree is, I had somebody who says it's in business, right? You don't have a degree that it's EC related, which means that you will need to do our orientation courses in order to obtain a trainee level certification, which is the first one, if that makes sense.
Can I pipe in for a second with some information on the immigration programs? Perfect.
Mhm.
So I guess accreditation aside, if any of the applicants were interested in applying through the Atlantic Immigration Program, if you're applying with education that's not from a Canadian post-secondary or Atlantic Canadian post-secondary institution, you would need to provide at least 1 year of experience to be eligible for that program. But the PMP program would also be an option, and you wouldn't have to provide the experience with that program. So just something to think about as well.
Thanks.
There's also, just sort of related, there's also a few questions about whether or not someone with a background in business enterprise can apply for administrative positions in ECE.
No, because you would have to go. Administrator is basically the one that oversees, and Sky can jump in that one too, that oversees not only the financial part of it, but also working in the daycare about best practices and stuff like that, everyday day-to-day workload with children and with the staff. And for those, they have to have a list ECE diploma or level 2 to order to work as administrators under legislation. Sky, you want to jump in on that one?
No, I think you pretty much answered that question. An administrator, like you said, is responsible for the financial component, yes, of the center, but they're also responsible for the overseeing the curriculum and program and learning environment of the center as a whole. They're there to mentor their ECE staff and that. So it's really important that they have a strong understanding in early learning and childcare. And like Moitza said, under our regulations here in Newfoundland and Labrador, to be an administrator of a childcare center, you need to have at least your level 2 certification in childcare services. And that wouldn't be obtained by a business post-secondary credentials. A level 2, as you see on the chart, is obtained by completing at minimum a 2-year EC diploma from a provincially recognized post-secondary institution.
Yeah, and there's one Meg said ask about to study in Newfoundland and Labrador in the ECE. So we have College of North Atlantic that offers a certificate, diploma, post-diploma, and a degree program. There's also Academy Canada that offers a certificate, early childhood education certificate and diploma program, and a Kean College that
And
offers.
sorry, go ahead. I was going to add to that when you were done.
And that's it.
Oh, perfect. So if you do apply to one of the those Canadian colleges, you would also be eligible for a postgraduate work permit, which would make you eligible for the PMP or the AIP as well.
Yep. And okay, as somebody said, what is the orientation? So and I think I need to explain more. So if you have, for example, a degree in business and you apply for the certification, which means that you do not meet the requirements. Once we assess everything, you don't meet the requirements for us to issue you a certification right away. So in order for you to receive a certification, what you would need to do is enroll in our courses, which orientation courses. We have of them, and they're based on the 5 classifications. And you would need to complete those courses and enroll in a college EC college program in order for us to issue you a trainee level certification. Those orientation courses that we offer are can be done when you reside here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Okay, let's see if I okay, yes, if you let's say if you don't have EC education background and you come here and you live here, there are some bursaries available that you can avail of it. So there's an EC training bursary if you're working here and you're going to school, let's say College of North Atlantic and doing their EC certificate program, you're working, you have a trainee level with us, then you can avail of some money to pay for your schooling. And there's other bursaries and grants as well. You can find that on our website, and I am gonna put that into the chat as well, so you can click on that and use that. The orientation courses are for free. There is a retaining fee associated with them, which means that when you enroll, you pay a fee. There's $25 to $75 per course, but that money is returned to you once you successfully complete the program within that semester that you have been enrolled into. And the orientation courses cannot be taken outside Canada, so you have to be in Newfoundland and Labrador. Did I miss anything else? Just trying. How long is the training? For school, college, depends on what you're gonna do. Irvin, if you're doing certificate, diploma, or degree, it can be anywhere from 1 year to 4 years, and depends how long you're planning to do that. Our orientation courses, if you're here in Newfoundland, they take they're semester based, between 2 to 4 months, but they are within that time frame you need to complete that.
And I think also too, it depends on what program you're doing and how you're doing it. So I'm going to use the College of North Atlantic, our public college, as an example. If you're enrolled in the EC certificate program, you have a choice. You can do it as a full-time student where you go all day long, Monday to Friday, or you can work in a childcare center and do the program part-time. So if you're doing it full-time studies, this EC certificate program that will give you level 1 takes a year, September until the end of June. If you are doing it part-time through online distance, at the College of North Atlantic, it will take you 2.5 years to complete the program. But again, you have the ability to work full-time while you're doing courses. And the way the schedule goes for that program is that you do 2 courses per semester. And then in 2.5 years, you'll have it completed. But you also, again, have the ability to work full-time while you're doing the coursework.
Yes, and if you have any questions or anything like that, don't hesitate to give us a pop me an email. Like I said, my email is register@asenal.ca. I'll put it in again there, and you can send me an email and we can have a chat as well through there.
I just wanted to clarify my earlier point about the postgraduate work permits. You'd only be eligible for the postgraduate work permit if you had attended a public college, so the College of the North Atlantic, which Sky just mentioned. That would make you eligible for the postgraduate work permit, but a private college would not.
Okay, is there any more questions or?
Can I just jump on to ask? There was someone that there's been a lot of questions, I know. So there was that one about whether there's an option to access doing a version of a co-op for in Newfoundland and Labrador for someone that is currently living in Ottawa and they're coming on their break from May to August to job hunt. So I guess I should speak to the fact that I know that there's no setup for that, but I'm not sure. I'm sort of directing this to Moisha and Sky as to whether or not it's something that can be looked into or if there's a pathway for it.
So they're looking to do a placement at a center in Newfoundland, but the placement is for a post-secondary institution from outside of the province.
Yes, they haven't mentioned what their post-secondary institution is. They just said that they're based in Ottawa.
Based in Ottawa.
I would suggest, like, and as far as I know, all the placements that have done through the college would be, they would have to make sure that the college approves wherever they do the placement. Now, I know that no colleges here, you know, I don't know if they're looking to do some stuff here besides the field placement.
I guess that would be more so
A college
individual.
question.
Well, no, because they're looking to do a placement at a center here. So it'd be a question for the licensees of the childcare centers and how that fits within our regulations.
Yeah.
Because where there's parameters around volunteers and who can actually be on the floor in the center. Obviously, they wouldn't be counted as ratio. It's not really something that I can answer here. It's more something that would probably be directed to between the childcare center that they would be interested in doing the placement in and the childcare consultant or social worker.
I'm going to ask a question about transcript of records. Can the copy be sent by the person or does it need to be sent directly from the institution?
It can be sent from the individual. Sometimes we may require to be sent directly from the institution, just in case if it's not clear enough or stuff like that. But in general, I'm fine if it's sent by the individual, and copies are perfectly fine.
Yeah, as long as the copies are easy to read. Sometimes
Yes.
you photocopy something and it gets it's not easy to read. So as long as it is legible, it's accepted.
I have another question that I don't know. I can't remember if this is a direct, like an easy answer. Someone asked if they're considered a level 2 in British Columbia. What level would they be if they exchanged to Newfoundland and Labrador?
Level 1, and they can do that. So you would, if you're not certified with us, you would just fill out the initial application. You would do a copy of your certification from whatever other province you have, and you just submit it. And it's usually, this one is the fastest way to get certified. Or yeah.
In Newfoundland, yeah.
In Newfoundland.
Yeah, because your post-secondary doesn't get assessed because it's already been assessed in the province that you're holding the certification from. The one thing is, if you are transferring your certification from one province to another, it needs to be valid certification. If it's expired, then it's not accepted.
Yes.
Can you also speak to why it wouldn't be that a level from one place is automatically the exact
Yeah.
level in our
Yeah.
province?
So labor mobility, transferring certification from one province to another in Newfoundland, Labrador, it's based on scope of practice, because each province sets their own standards for early learning and childcare. Newfoundland has high standards for quality childcare purposes. And so in some provinces, they will accept different types of education for their levels. So a level 3 in one province might be the same education that we require for our level 2. So again, where we go, so scope of practice is, if in one province you need to be a level 3 to be an administrator of a center, and in Newfoundland, you need to be a level 2 to be an administrator. So then that means under scope of practice, you will be a level 2 in Newfoundland. You can also have the opportunity, if you're not happy with that, you are also able to apply for certification without the other province's certification, and you can have your post-secondary credentials assessed instead of using the other province's certificate. I don't know, Moitz, if you want to add anything to that.
No,
No, sorry, that sounds great. I was just answering
that's
some of the other
perfect.
questions in the chat.
It went really quiet, and all I thought
Yes.
was,
Yeah.
did I freeze?
No, you're good.
And I'm trying to respond to some of them on the question and Q&A. So let's see.
So here's a question, just clarification. Upon sending our school records, do we need to send oh, I think Moit's already answered that one. Yes. We accept photocopies.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Do we have a list of international programs, ECE programs that have been accepted?
We do based on what we have received. So based on the individuals. So basically, non-Canadian certificate credentials are assessed based on who submits them individually. So we have a list of those that have been approved so far. So any individuals that are looking to see, I would suggest to contact me which programs we have accepted so far. If they are not on the list, or if the program has been old, let's say 5-10 years ago, we would have to reassess it again, just because the programs do change and stuff like that. So if anybody wants to study, my recommendation is, and if you're planning to migrate to Canada or Newfoundland and Labrador to do the Canadian colleges, or at least contact us first, so then we can go from there.
There were a few questions about whether, again, that are being asked. I think it was already touched on, but whether or not, if you're required to do an orientation, is that free?
There is yes, with underlying explanation. there is a retaining fee, which what does that mean is you have to be in Newfoundland and Labrador to do them. You would have to register for them, and there is a fee associated with them between 25 Canadian dollars per course if you do, or maximum would be $75. However, that fee is refunded to you once you successfully complete the course. Within the semester that you have been enrolled into. But with that, you do have to be in Newfoundland and Labrador.
I did just get the nudge that this session is supposed to end in
Yes.
about 1 minute, just
Okay.
as a timing reminder.
Perfect. Well, I would like to thank everybody for joining this session and for all the fantastic questions that you had. I would like to point out again our website, www.aecenl.ca. Also, too, if you have more questions after this presentation, you can go to the VFAIR Roundtable platform, and they will also be able to further answer questions regarding to moving to Newfoundland and Labrador, seeking a career in early childhood education.
Yes, and I am there too, so you can give me a shout there on VFair. I'll try to respond as many as possible stuff to questions you might have. If not, like, at least you can get my email there, and then we can connect outside the VFair today. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Nice to.
Have a fantastic day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.